When Harold Dover called me on the telephone several months ago and told me that he wanted to talk to me in his office, I was the happiest man on earth. Harold Dover was my boss. He was the owner of one of the most famous basketball teams in the world. He was one of the richest men in the world. I had been the coach of his team for 5 years. Oh, I had so much success with that team. 3 times we finished in second place. Twice we finished in third place. 2 years in a row we lost the championship by 1 lousy point. Oh man, I'd had so much success with that team. Oh boy. So naturally, when I got his phone call, there was only one thought that went through my mind. I said, Mr. Dover is getting ready to extend my contract. I said, that man is going to give me a contract probably worth 10, 15, or $20 million. Ooh! I felt so good. I was so happy. So I stopped what I was doing, went and packed some clothes, got to the nearest airport, caught the first plane headed to the city where Mr. Dover lived. Ooh, I wanted to get there as fast as I could. When I got to the city, I said, I better take a little rest here. I said, I don't want to go face Mr. Dover right now. I better get myself a little rest after that long flight. So I got a hotel room, and I took a 3-hour nap. Ooh, I felt good and refreshed when I woke up. Took a shower, put on my best suit. Ooh, I said, all right, I'm ready to go see Mr. Dover. So I hailed a taxi. Taxi took me to the building where Mr. Dover's office was. I went inside. His secretary, Betty, was at the desk. She was glad to see me. I was glad to see her. We hadn't seen each other in a while. We exchanged pleasantries. How are you doing? How's your family and all that? It was good to see Betty. Yeah, but I had come to see Mr. Dover. I had money on my mind. Money and basketball. So she told me to go on in. Mr. Dover was waiting for me. So I went in. Mr. Dover was sitting behind his desk, and he got up and came around in front of his desk, and we shook hands and exchanged hellos and good to see you and all that stuff. And oh man, I was finally there in the office. I said, ooh, in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, come on, let me have the money. Let me have the money. Get that new contract out so I can sign it. Come on. So after we had talked a little bit, chit-chat and everything, Mr. Dover sat back down and he said, Lonnie, you had another good year with the team, didn't you? I said, well, the whole team had a good year, Mr. Dover. I said, we almost got that championship for you. I said, we only lost by 1 point. I said, we're going to get it. I said, probably next year. I said, we're going to get it. I said, yeah, we're coming. I said, my goodness, we're going to get that championship for you. And Mr. Dover, you know, he didn't seem too enthusiastic with my reply. You know, he said, yeah, you've come close several times there, Lonnie. He said, you've really come close, and you've done a great job with the team for the time you've had it and everything. He said, about 5 years. He said, Lonnie, I think 5 years is enough. You know, boy, did that slow me down. I said, you said to myself, I said, well, surely I didn't hear. I said, pardon me? He said, Lonnie, I think 5 years is enough. Well, I really heard him good, you know, and I said, what do you mean, Mr. Dover? He said, Lonnie, I think it's time for me to get myself a new coach. And I said, surely the man is kidding, you know. I said, you've got to be kidding, right? He said, oh no, Lonnie. He said, no, I'm not kidding. I said, you're serious? He said, oh yeah, I'm serious. I said, you're letting me go? He said, yeah, Lonnie, I think it's time for me to get myself a new. I said, wait a minute. I said, time out. I said, wait a minute here. Wait a minute here, Mr. I said, let me get this straight. I said, all the success I've had with your team, and you're letting me go? He said, yeah. I said, wait a minute. I said, you're firing me? He said, yeah, Lonnie, I'm going to get myself a new coach. I said, why? He said, Lonnie, calm down. He said, Lonnie, let me explain something to you. He said, I think you're the greatest second place coach in basketball. He said, but as far as I'm concerned, that's all you are. He said, I don't think you'll ever take my team to first place. He said, I don't think you've got what it takes to get us over that hump and get us to first place. He said, you'll always get us to second. But he said, I don't think you'll ever get that championship for me. And Lonnie, I want a championship. I said, oh my, I said, that's what you think of me. He said, Lonnie, don't take it personally. It's all business. I said, Mr. Dover, that's what you think of me after the great service I've given you? He said, Lonnie, please. He said, please. He said, I've already picked out another coach for my team, and I thank you for the great years you've given me, and I just would like to end it. I said, oh my God, just like, he said, yeah, just like that, Lonnie. He said, let's just keep it businesslike. He said, I'm telling you, it's nothing personal. He said, it's just business. He said, I want to have a championship team, and I don't think you can give it to me, Lonnie. I'm thanking you for all the service you've given me, but let's just call it a day. I said, oh my goodness. I said, boy, what a shock this is. I said, well, should I go say goodbye to the team? He said, oh no. No, he said, Lonnie, I wish you wouldn't do that. He said, the team likes you too much, and I want them to start liking the new coach. He said, I wish you wouldn't go say goodbye. I said, Mr. Dover, you don't even want me to go say goodbye to the fellas? He said, no, Lonnie. He said, please, do me this favor. He said, just go away, Lonnie. He said, please. He said, you and I have always treated each other like gentlemen. He said, do me this last favor. Just go away, Lonnie. He said, I've got a new coach now. I think that new coach is going to get me a championship team. He said, just go quietly, would you please, Lonnie? I said, oh, brother. I said, oh, my goodness. I said, Mr. Dover, you have really shocked me. I said, man, you have knocked me off my feet. You have knocked me down to the floor. You have kicked me in the gut, man. I said, you've hurt me. He said, Lonnie, I'm sorry, but it's all business. It's just business. I said, well, Mr. Dover, if this is the way you want it, this is the way it will be. I said, should you and I shake hands and say goodbye? And he said, oh, yeah. He said, yeah, Lonnie, let's shake hands. And so he and I shook hands. And I said, well, Mr. Dover, so long. He said, so long, Lonnie, and good luck to you. And I walked out of that office in a daze. I walked out of that office in a complete daze. I had gone in there feeling like the king of the world, man. Whew, I felt like a giant. And I came out of that office feeling like a bug. I mean, that man he had crushed me, firing me. One of the best coaches in basketball. Some people said the best coach in basketball. And I had been fired. And I said to myself, oh my goodness, how am I going to face the world? Once the news is out, once everybody knows that I've been fired, I said, how in the world am I going to face the world? I said, my team just lost the championship by 1 point, and here I've been let go. I said, how do you explain something like that? But yeah, I left the building, went back to my hotel, and just lay down on my bed and stared at the ceiling. My mind was just in another world. I must have lay there 2 hours, my eyes wide open, just staring at the ceiling in disbelief. Oh, finally I drifted off to sleep, mercifully, for about an hour. I drifted off to sleep, and when I woke up, somebody was banging on my hotel door. I sat up on the bed. I said, now, what in the world could this be? So I went to the door and opened the door, and there were 2 of my players. I said, oh my goodness gracious, would you look at who's here? It was Benny and Fulo, 2 of my best players. And boy, they were angry. They just came barging in. They just came right on past me. They said, Coach, we heard what happened. So we heard what happened, and we're not going to tolerate it. So we're not playing for anybody new. So we're quitting. I said, oh, wait a minute now. I said, wait a minute, fellas. I said, wait a minute. I said, now, you can't quit. I said, you got a contract. I said, you got a contract. I said, you can't run your athletic career because of me. I said, now, this is the way Mr. Dover wanted it. He wanted a new coach, and he's got himself a new coach. I said, now, you guys are obligated to play for that team. I said, you get out there and you play just as hard for that new coach as you did for me. And you try to get a championship for that man. I said, you do that. I said, no, this nonsense about quitting. I said, no, you can't quit. You got signed contracts. I said, you'll be sued. You'll be ruined. I said, you fellas get on out of there and play basketball just as well as you can. I said, no, you can't ruin your careers for me. So they stayed there in my hotel room about 30 minutes. And we talked and laughed and reminisced, and a couple of times we cried. A couple of times tears rolled down our cheeks as we recalled the years we had been together. It was a sad occasion. It was a happy occasion. Oh boy. But finally they left. After about 30 minutes, I had convinced them not to quit the team, not to get themselves in any kind of legal trouble. Go back and play for that team. And so after they left, I went back and I lay back down on the bed. I felt so good for them caring that much about me. So I was resting again. I bet you it wasn't 15 minutes later, bam, 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 here come another knock on my hotel door. I sat up on the bed again. I said, okay, now who could this be? So I went to the door again and opened the door. And this time there stood Peter Prester, Rookie of the Year. This guy was a sensation. And I had coached him. He had won Rookie of the Year honors. He came barging in. He was angry. He said, Coach, this isn't going down. He said, no, that man's not going to do this to you. So not as long as I'm alive. I said, wait a minute. I said, Peter. I said, wait a minute. He said, no. He said, no, I'm quitting. He said, I'm quitting, Coach. He said, if you're not my coach, I said, listen, Peter, you cannot quit. I said, 2 of the other guys have already been here. And I said, I told them the same thing. I said, you cannot quit. I said, you cannot quit. I said, you can't get into legal trouble because of me. I said, you're just starting out your basketball career. I said, man, you got years and years ahead of you. So much money to make, so much fame to attain. I said, you can't ruin yourself because of me. I said, I'll find another job. I said, it's just business. And Peter Prester was just so angry. He stayed there about 30 minutes talking to me. And, it took everything I had to convince him to go back to the team and play. Oh, he was just determined to quit. He was just determined. No, he wasn't going to play basketball for anybody but me. I said, no. I said, you've got a legal contract, and you've got to honor that contract. I said, you go back and you play for that new coach, and you guys win a championship for Mr. Dover. I said, you go ahead and win that championship. So I finally convinced him, and Peter left. I said, oh my goodness. But it felt good to know that the guys cared so much about me. It felt so good. So once again, I lay back down on my bed and just stared at the ceiling some more. And like I said, my mind was off in outer space. I was still in shock. I was just still in total shock. Can you imagine expecting somebody to give you a contract for $20 million and they fire you? Oh man, hey, this was just, whew, I couldn't deal with it. I could not deal with this. Man, oh man, whew. I said, oh, I'm just thinking to me, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What is the world going to think of me? What is the sports world going to think of me? Here, everybody regarded me so highly. Everybody admired me. And here, young coaches wanted to be like me. And here I had been fired. And my team had been so successful, but not successful enough. We didn't get first place. And that's what Mr. Dover wanted. He had told me to my face that I was not a first place coach. Oh man, that cut me like a knife. Oh, that cut me like a knife. Oh, that hurt so bad. Telling me to my face, you're not first place material. So like I said, I was lying there on the bed, still just off in a daze, and here comes another knock on the door. I said, oh, this is getting ridiculous. This is getting ridiculous. Now, who could this be? Well, I got up, went to the door, opened the door, and there stood Emma, Mr. Dover's daughter. And ooh, the tears were streaming down her cheeks. And she just came in and grabbed me and hugged me and held me for about a minute. And ooh, she just cried like a baby. And when she finally let me go and took out a handkerchief and started wiping her eyes and her face, she just started apologizing. She said, oh, Lonnie, I'm so sorry for what my daddy did. She said, I'm just so sorry for what he did. She said, but you realize that I have no control over my father. I said, of course, Emma. I said, I don't blame you for anything. She said, oh, I'm just so sick over this. So you're just like family to me. So you're just like family to Daddy, but he's just so greedy to get that championship. He cast you aside. I said, Emma, it's all right. I said, it's all right. It's just business. I said, I'll survive. I'll get by. I'll get another job. Ooh, that lady was so upset. Yeah, she cried like a baby right there, almost in my arms, and apologized over and over for what her daddy had done firing me. But I said, no, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. So she stayed there about 30 minutes. And she said, I'm getting married in 6 months, and you better be at my wedding. I said, I'll be there, Emma. She said, I mean it, you better be there. She said, you better be there. I said, I will be there. I will be there, Emma. So like I said, she stayed there about 30 minutes, and then she left. And I said, man, this is just... I was just all torn apart. This love that had flowed from all of these people coming to the hotel room to visit me and tell me how much they loved me and respected me and liked me and all. Oh, it was just incredible. Gradually, I began to feel a little better. Gradually, I began to feel a little better, and once again, I drifted off to sleep, and I slept for hours this time. I slept for hours. And the next time I woke up, I said, well, I might as well get out of here. I might as well get to the airport and catch a plane and get on back home to the Midwest. I said, no sense in me staying here. So that's what I did. I got up, got all my stuff together, left the hotel, got into a taxi, had him take me to the airport, and I had to sit there at the airport for 4 hours before I could get a plane back home, but I finally did. And when I arrived back home, boy, was I a different man. Even my own home looked different, looking through the eyes of a man who'd been fired. My own home looked different to me. But I was back home without a job. And I had to tell myself, buddy, you've got to survive this. Don't let this kill you. Because the stress and the strain and the anger and the stuff was just building. And this little voice in my head said, hey, don't let this kill you. Get yourself together. You can survive this. Other people have survived worse than this. You can survive this. This little thing talking to me. And I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I will. I can do it. I can do it. I said, yeah, I can do it. So, as the days went by, Mr. Dover announced his new coach. And, I said, hey, good for him. I knew the fella. He had coached several other basketball teams. He had never been a championship coach, but Mr. Dover seemed to think he could get him a championship, so hey, I was happy for him. Yeah, as the days went by, Mr. Dover made the announcement of his new coach and everything, and I got all kind of phone calls and emails and letters and personal visits from people just wanting to let me know that they felt that I had been given a lousy deal, and they were wishing me all the luck in the world, and they were hoping that I would get a new job soon. And I appreciated the way people came to my defense. I appreciated the way people came to my defense. It was great. Yeah, and as the weeks went by, I gradually began to feel a little bit better. I gradually began to feel a little bit better, and I began to accept this lousy thing that had happened to me. I began to accept this lousy thing that had happened to me. And I said, yeah, I'm going to survive this. I said, yeah, I'm going to survive this. I'm going to make it. I said, with all these people in my corner pulling for me, I said, yeah, they're right. I said, I can't let this destroy me. I can't let this destroy me. I've got to survive this. So the season began, and naturally I followed my old team. Every day I kept track of what they were doing and how they were doing. And oh boy, they got off to a real bad start. They lost their first 5 games. Then they won 1 game. Then they lost their next 6 games. Then they won 2 or 3. Then they lost something like 7 in a row. Then they won 5. Then I think they lost like 8 or 9 in a row, and then they won 9 in a row. And oh, just an up and down season they had. Oh my goodness, their season was just all over the place. They were just all over the place. Up and down, win, lose, win, lose, win, win. Lose, 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 lose. Oh boy, they couldn't get any kind of momentum going, no kind of winning streak. And I was just shocked. I mean, I just had expected them to run away with their division, I just couldn't believe it. And the whole sports world couldn't believe it. After all, Mr. Dover had fired me to bring in this guy to get him a championship. And son of a gun, things just didn't go well at all. Yeah. And so the season just kept going on and on like that, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then finally the season ended, and my old team didn't even make the playoffs. Oh, that hurt me personally. Because the year before we had lost the championship by 1 point, and now under this new coach, they didn't even make the playoffs. To me, it was a disgrace. And so I had to ask myself, should I call Mr. Dover and give him my condolences, or should I just stay out of it? And something told me, no, just stay out of it. So I didn't do anything. But yeah, the season ended. My team didn't even make the playoffs. Oh, what a shocking thing that was. What a shocking thing that was. And I knew those guys were better than that. I knew they were better than that. And I wanted to go to some of them and commiserate with them, but I said, no, Mr. Dover doesn't want me to go anywhere near his team. I'm not going to get out of line. So I just kept my distance. And yeah, the playoffs began, and some team in the East won the championship, and hey, I was happy for them. I felt that if I had still been the coach, my team would have won it, but hey, I said, hey, that's all, speculative. I said, there's no proof that it would have happened. So yeah, and so after the season ended, Mr. Dover went on television and tried to explain to the sports world what had gone wrong, but he couldn't come up with He couldn't come up with any real explanation, and everybody called him a fool. Everybody called him a fool. They said, you were a fool to let Lonnie go. And he was so embarrassed and hurt. And I don't know what he'll do next year. He hasn't contacted me, and I really don't want him to, because I've been offered 4 different jobs to coach 4 other teams, and I'm sure I'll take one of those jobs. And I'm going to prove to Mr. Dover that I'm a first-place coach. Nobody tells me that I'm second place, not good enough for first place. I'm going to prove to Mr. Dover that I am a first-place coach. I'm going to take one of those 4 jobs that have been offered me, and I'm going to be a first-place coach. I'm going to show to the whole sports world, Lonnie is not a second-place coach. Lonnie is first place. Yes, I am.